Since the beginning of our histories, we the people of the Caribbean have embarked on a collective journey to write our own story. Our story has been written in the way we talk, our music, our culture, the foods we eat, and the respect that we have for each other and indeed our environment. With a foundation based on finding balance and living together in harmony, we have excelled, my friends, as a region and as a people. I say this conscious that there has been a fundamental shift in how we now relate to these things. Great advancements in technology and the ease of connectivity, as well as the emerging technologies, have also come at a price. We know it. A price on our health, our wellness, our social structures, and our biodiversity. I say to you that there is a dire global health challenge at our gates in the global south. We have experienced an exponential rise in cardiovascular disease, chronic respiratory and infectious diseases, cancer, diabetes, air pollution, mental health challenges, malnutrition, and all of this while the climate crisis has impacted us and our environment and will continue to do so. And all of this while we see the emergence of violence as the greatest public health disease facing all of us in the Americas. We, the citizens of the Caribbean, are faced with a simple choice. What will our future be? And what story will it tell? It is time that as citizens, as a united Caribbean, we awaken the power of purpose and change the tides. We simply must take charge of our health and understand the wellness mechanisms that exist all around us. What we have forgotten, our children must now remember. Our very survival as a region depends on it. We must take a vested interest in our overall health. So yes, it starts with our personal health, changing what we eat, changing how we exercise and move, but also of great importance is the health of our environment, our communities, our societies, and each other. And that is where the impact of the climate crisis with new pathogens and possible new pandemics, or with violence as a new public health disease, comes to play. All of this, my friends, is critical if our region, our Caribbean, is to flourish beyond the now and to echo proudly through the generations to come that we have left them a legacy that allows them to live the best life that they can. Yes, the scope is before us. The calling is here, but the action must be now. Let us meet our doctors, our nurses, our scientists, our community leaders, and our other healthcare professionals answering the call. Let us ensure that we reach every household, not just those who have access to the tools that allow them to be able to do the research for themselves, but let us help carry all of our brothers and sisters so that they understand why eating fast food every day can't work, and they understand why it is necessary to put some ground provisions and vegetables in your food, and get our children accustomed to it from the very beginning so that they don't tell us like an American president, I don't like broccoli. I am Mia Amor Mottley, and this is Caribbean Medical TV. And we can do better once we work together and change our habits individually, as families, as communities, as countries. Thank you.
Every day, a new story is told, forged by the choices we make, from our home, heart, health, and family. It is an ecosystem of diverse and intricate living, all intertwined, all interconnected. Each day we rise to expectation, responsibility, and resolve. In this all-new season, we bring the insights to you. We hear from our medical, scientific, agricultural, and climate specialists about the incoming tide in this new age. This is Caribbean Medical TV. Welcome to our world, our future.
There's a call now for each citizen to take responsibility for their own health care. And you've got to take responsibility for your own health care through the different facets of what contribute to bad health care. What are you doing about the environment? What are you doing about climate change? Everybody's talking about the hazy atmosphere, and everybody now has sinusitis because of the Sahara dust, etc. That's the contribution, and more doctors are seeing people right now with sinusitis, and the antibiotics are kicking dust all over right now because of that. You need to arm yourself with this information. To me, one of the greatest fears I have is the Ozempic craze, in which I get the impression that everybody wants Ozempic in one hand and fried chicken in the other. And that is, to me, I think, the greatest fear on the horizon. So the message out there is you are responsible for the care of your house. And don't do it like the West Indians do it. Don't do it just once a year at Christmas time. It is an ongoing thing. Do it at Easter. Do it, the beginning of Lent. Do it at Pentecost. Do it at Ramadan. Just do it, and do it regularly, because that's the only way that you're going to make a significant positive contribution to your own health.
And so the same way in your body, if you have a fever, then if that fever lasts for too long, then your organs start shutting down, your kidney, your liver. It's the same thing in our plant. We've been running a fever, and this fever is getting worse and worse, and all sorts of things are being impacted. We're in the middle of a full-blown climate crisis, and as bad as you think it is now, it'll get worse, because we can't predict how this planet will react. It's a living organism. How can you adapt to a Category 5 hurricane passing through your country? You can't adapt to that. How can you adapt to losing your fishery from ocean acidification, or losing your land, as will probably happen in Kiribati or Marshall Islands or Fiji, because they are so low-lying that a 2-meter sea level rise will cause those countries to disappear. You can't adapt to that. Climate change in the Caribbean is at ground zero in this battle with climate change. People still believe that climate change is an environmental thing. It's not. Climate change is an economic problem, it's a social problem, it's a cultural problem. Many heritage sites are being lost now because of climate change. When you have saltwater incursion and you have sea level rise, then places that had important historical significance or cultural significance are being lost. You start looking at food security. Now I'm seeing in St. Lucia, many vegetable farmers are abandoning their farms because the temperatures are just too hot. Not just too hot to grow crops, but almost too hot for the farm workers to be out in 32, 33 degrees Celsius weather. So fishers, farmers, construction workers who have to be working out in these temperatures. It's not easy.
In my early years, starting off fishing, we used to see a lot more fishes than what we see now.
By beds.
It seemed like during the climate change and ecosystem having evolved, even the conch, we're finding less conch than we used to find years ago. We have to go further out to sea into deeper waters. We used to make a good day, like in 60 feet of water, like 2 miles from land, 3 miles from land. Right now, we got to go 36 miles, 15 miles the least. That contributes to the bends that we're getting, because we have to be diving in deeper waters to get the fish, because we're not getting the seafood like how we used to get it before because of climate change. So sometimes when we overwork our bodies, we don't know, and then we get sick. We get the decompression sickness. This is because of how hard we work. So we have our families to take care of, and it's something that we love to do.
Climate change is real, and no amount of denial, right, will prevent it from being so. In terms of climate change, the impacts on everything are vast. But speaking specifically, say for instance, to health and cancer, temperature. The temperature of our climate has increased and continues to increase exponentially. As our climate heats up and our ice sheets melt, there are certain infections that have been sealed away for millennia that are now coming to the forefront. We don't know what impact those infections are going to have on our health, right? We don't know if there are going to be any oncogenic viruses there. Now, we as melanated people, we seem to think that our melanin is all the protection that we need. It's not, all right? We should all be wearing sunscreen, especially considering the rise in temperatures, because this sun that is happening now is not your grandmother's sun. This temperature is not granny's temperature. So we need to adapt. That's why we've survived as a species for so long. We've adapted.
And on Caribbean Medical TV, we will continue our focus on the impacts of climate change as it relates to our health. We are now more uniquely equipped than ever before to analyze and correct these challenges. As of this very moment, a new player has entered the field: artificial intelligence.
I really think that AI is not something that we should fear, both on the patient end and certainly on the physician end, but really is something that we should welcome, but most importantly that we should get to understand. So Within the artificial intelligence space for quite some time, pathology has been using AI technology. And what we have been able to do is very early signs and changes at the cellular level in cancer, the actual computer can detect, sometimes that our naked eyes can't detect. So there's a benefit to having artificial intelligence on board. But again, we need to ensure that it is well regulated. Although we have a crisis on our hands, it is also an opportunity for rich growth and education about a space so that we come to understand exactly how we can benefit from where the world is going. AI is here to stay, okay? I don't think it is going anywhere, and I think that it's not something that we should fight against, but we should sort of understand how do we work with AI to get the best out of it. Because at the end of the day, AI is educated based upon human beings.
Hi, I'm Ella.
And hi, I'm Hanna.
We're two students from the UK visiting here in St Lucia at the Millennium Heights Complex Hospital, and you're watching
Caribbean Medical TV.
Every year, there are many visiting students and medical personnel who come to the Caribbean to work alongside our local healthcare experts. That speaks to constant community engagement and high standards of our Caribbean medical fraternity. Stay tuned. We'll be right back with more.
Hello, I am Nigel Batiste, Group President and Chief Executive Officer of Republic Financial Holdings Limited. The Republic Group has always prioritized the holistic development of the communities and countries we serve. It's a mission driven by our flagship Power to Make a Difference corporate social responsibility program and the dedication of our staff, where we focus on 4 key pillars: the power to learn, the power to care, the power to help, and the power to succeed. For us, this is just the beginning of our sustainability journey, and we remain fully committed to unlocking financing to support the attainment of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, which ultimately would lead to a Caribbean region that is safe, healthy, and sustainable for many generations to come.
Welcome back to Caribbean Medical TV, where we feature the voices of our very own citizens, our local and regional doctors, nurses, scientists, institutions and organizations, openly discussing health, wellness, climate, and community.
The challenge I maintain is the expectation. What do people expect of a healthcare provider, of a healthcare system? But at the end of the day, we are committed. And that's really what integrated health and social care models promote. We know that there will be shortfalls, but we're constantly striving. What I would love for the Caribbean is for our healthcare systems to become more integrated, where we're not just managing patients in the moment, but we're thinking about what they need after and developing legislation and policies that support that, because they deserve it. We should value our people so much that we develop a system to meet their needs right where they are.
I try to tell my patients all the time that I'm here to help you. I'm not here to judge you. This is a safe space. Because, you know, like I said, when a patient comes to a doctor, they're at their most vulnerable. Even a doctor as a patient, you know, you think you know everything that's happening to you, but you're still vulnerable. Everybody's experience is unique, and everybody has different experiences which shape them. Well, for me, you know, I lived in Cuba, I lived in America, I lived here, so even if, you know, me being St. Lucian born and bred, the influences from all those other countries that I lived in will always influence my practice. From something as simple as language, where, you know, in St. Lucia there's a very strong French Creole, and I'll be able to communicate with a 90-year-old person who can't speak any English, as opposed to, you know, a tourist who walks in and speaks no English. I can speak to them in Spanish or French and those things. So as from a personal perspective, my experiences, both as a St. Lucian and somebody who's lived abroad in multiple countries, it also helps with the practice because it makes it easier for me and for the patient.
One of the things that I think is very important, if all of the Caribbean countries, regions, heads of states, the ministries of health in the different countries, if they incorporate the Ministry of Education, where we create campaigns with the children in the schools promoting health education, exercising, and the diet. I know some countries have already started that in terms of the portion of the meal, the type of meals that are provided in the school to contribute to a better level of nutrition. I think that is pretty important. And also too, with climate change, that is also taking an effect when it comes to health, crops, food. Climate change may seem like it's completely different or unrelated to health, but everything has a chain effect. Everything is connected. So in the Caribbean, promotion is key for the chronic illnesses. And I must say, as what we do here with Caribbean Medical, making the Caribbean more aware of what are the issues concerning the chronic illnesses, promotion, prevention, I think we as a region need to concentrate on how are we going to modify our lifestyle. These are ways that we can help to contribute to promotion of better health, modification of diet, which is very important.
So definitely we know, and there's evidence to prove that nutrition is one of the main risk factors that affects people in terms of their development of diseases, the high rates of morbidity. I like to bring culture into the diet because culture can be to our detriment. We've told ourselves that we need juice. I have no idea where this comes from. What we need is hydration. We need water. And we need fiber from the fruits, and we need minerals and vitamins that the fruits have. We tend to juice our fruits and we don't tend to eat our fruits, right? So we need to get the fruits, but not in the form of a juice, right? And the manufacturers are kind of making it difficult for us because they are coming along with new products like 100% juice. I would say this is often false marketing. So get into the habit, especially with the young children, get them into the habit of drinking water, remaining hydrated. We live in the Caribbean, it's very hot. Most days we are hot. They go to school, they're hot. Get them into the habit of drinking water. And if you have fruits at home, give them the fruits in whole. Do we eat passion fruit? No, culturally we juice passion fruit. So think about that.
Medcorp Limited, Trinidad's first internationally accredited healthcare provider and one of the nation's top healthcare institutions. With 3 strategic campuses across northwest Trinidad, we offer comprehensive healthcare services for all your needs. We're committed to patient-centered quality care, excelling at treating complex medical conditions. Our 24/7 emergency services provide trusted, timely care when you need it most. We've invested in cutting-edge diagnostic and therapeutic technologies, ensuring higher accuracy in imaging and more effective treatments for better outcomes. Our state-of-the-art ICU delivers the highest level of critical care, backed by the latest medical innovations. Life is precious. Choose the best. Choose Medcorp Limited.
At the Exim Bank, we provide our clients with the financial resources to enable them to increase their foreign exchange earnings. And it is working. Let's look at it from a national, then a regional, and then a global context. Regionally, tourism is back, and back big. The young people, through creativity, innovation, and via various existing international platforms, can create businesses that are geared to the international markets from the get-go. Exim Bank is the only official export credit agency in Trinidad and Tobago. We are the preferred option for export financing, with a core focus on developing the export potential of Trinidad and Tobago as a mechanism to diversify the economy and increase non-energy foreign exchange earnings. Exim Bank stands ready to help companies achieve their export ambitions. Let's celebrate success.
Today we were focusing on nutrition security, which is a little different to food security. Because when you talk about food security, you're looking at the total food on the plate, how much calories you have. And unfortunately, many people in the Caribbean has an overabundance of calories on their plate. The portion sizes are too big, and so we're eating too much food. We are particularly interested in educating people on having smaller portion sizes and also thinking about picking food that is nutritious for them and also cooking food in a nutritious way. So maybe not so much frying, but maybe steaming or baking. And we are also aware, very much so, of the cost of food and the fact that people, many times because of the rising cost of food, they have a harder time to make food more affordable and make more nutritious choices. They have to be deliberate about buying for nutrition as opposed to just buying to fill your belly. So being full is good, but having nutritious food in your system is even more important. Because at the end of the day, if you continue to eat a diet that is not nutritious, then you're going to find yourself having non-communicable diseases such as hypertension and diabetes, and that will have a major cost for you as the individual down the road. The cost is astronomical for healthcare, as you know. So you really have to think about making more deliberate choices, maybe spending a little bit more if you're able to, or making wiser substitutions on your plate that's still within your budget so that you could reduce those health costs down the road. And the health costs are not just for the person who may get sick, It's also for the society as a whole. When people are not at work, they're not working well. That's a cost to society, and it's also a cost to the family.
So one of the things that we have to understand is striking a balance. That's one. Striking a balance between what we are doing on a daily basis and not being caught up in just going throughout the day every day. And sometimes that's what happens. You see persons just go throughout the day and they have not stopped to eat, they have not stopped to rest, they have not stopped to exercise, they probably have not stopped to think. So one of the things that we have to do, especially with the younger children, I think, is that we need to reteach our diets. The other thing is that we need to create environments where they can have access to these foods, the ground provisions, the vegetables that are grown here.
Through the generations, our families relied upon the earth for its harvest. Returning to our parents' way of growing our own crops would certainly play a role in reducing our import bill and recreate a vibrant agricultural sector. This can also combat many chronic illnesses.
Now, in terms of diabetes, it probably interferes with the metabolic pathways in terms of how nutrition is getting to the cartilage, and that interference leads to then micro damage to the level of the cartilage, which would then ultimately result in damage to into the cartilage, leading to arthritis. Weight, very simply, it is load transferring through the joint, and as we acquire mileage or cycles through the joints, that extra weight wears down the cartilage in the knee and the hip, which can lead them to arthritis. So it's very important that in terms of our diet, we get healthy foods. And the healthy foods, what I mean, is things that come straight from the source. They're not being manufactured, they're not being processed. Things that you'd get at the market. When I was a medical student at the University of West Indies in Trinidad, I used to go to Tunapuna Market. I would get my fish there, the carrot and the kingfish, and I would get all my fruits and my vegetables. And that is a good way to get your nutrition. Get it straight from the source rather than getting it from these boxes.
Another factor we have in Dominica, also as in the Caribbean, we see a lot of the fertilizers used in agriculture. The fertilizers and the pesticides used in agriculture are hormone disruptors. And a lot of the men here, sometimes they spray without any mask, without any protection, and this leaks and seeps into the skin and gets into the bloodstream. It also leaks into the water, and then it goes into the food which we spray. We're talking about the banana plantations, the fruits, the vegetables, and it also gets into the water. That also means the fish get contaminated. And as we are Caribbean, we eat a lot of fish, seafood. So now over the years, these chemicals build up in our blood system, in our body, and it can also give us breast cancer and also prostate cancer. because those organs are hormone dependent. You need to wash your foods with baking soda and vinegar. So you soak your greenery and your fruits with baking soda, some diluted baking soda in some water and vinegar together. You wash them for at least 10 to 15 minutes. That will decrease at least 80 to 90% of all the pesticides and herbicides within on the surface of those food. We're talking about apples, grapes, strawberries, bananas, plantains, all of them, because they are sprayed. And those chemicals do affect the prostate and also the cervical area of the woman. The farmers now, we need to stress that they have to put on their gear. If they're using those chemicals, they need full gear, they need boots, they need protection for their head, their skin, long sleeve, they need gloves. Also, they need a proper way to dispose of those things, not just setting it in the river, or so it will contaminate the fish and in the sea.
We all have a role to play, and it is critical that we set the examples for our children. Now more than ever, our lifestyles are in focus in this ongoing debate. From Dominica, we travel to Barbados to chat with Dr. Sherry-Ann Catwell and discuss the deeper parts of one's well-being.
So according to the World Health Organization, mental health is not merely the absence of mental disease, but it is a state of well-being. Most times when persons hear the word mental health, they think about mental disease or mental illness. However, mental health is just a state of overall psychological, physical, and social well-being. It's how you manage stressors. It is what we call your resilience. So sometimes persons may not be able to manage certain life situations effectively. What we recommend, however, is not waiting until you have a mental health crisis then to manage your mental health.
A big part of mental health is also understanding the positive aspects as well, right? Looking at what we can do, what we are able to do through joy and through passion and through purpose and through spirituality. And remember, mental health is a part of our functioning that's connected to our physical health or spiritual health or all different kind of health. And so we have the creativity that comes out through trauma, but also the creativity that comes out through us being just uniquely ourselves. So generally, there is an overall uniqueness about Caribbean people that stems from our ability to rise up from triumph, but also our ability to use just our resilient spirit to create and to enjoy and to endure.
I continue to add value to me because that's the only way I can add value to others. My contribution to humanity must be very significant. My dash must matter. My dash must dance. That dash on my tombstone from the time I was born until I expire must leave a footprint on this earth. One of the quotes that I love from Martin Luther King is, "Not everyone can be famous, but everyone can be great." It's because greatness is determined by service. We have to find a way to serve humanity. And the other one that I love from Maya Angelou is, "When you get, you give, and when you learn, you teach." And it just tells you that your story is significant, not just my story. And a lot of times people don't think that who's going to want to hear my story. Every life has a story, and every single story is significant.
Significant indeed it is. Thank you for your words of wisdom. The spirit is one of the Caribbean's greatest inheritances, and this is only the beginning of our journey on Caribbean Medical TV.